Welcome back. Well, is there a liberal bias on college campuses? Many conservatives are saying there's actually a lack of diversity when it comes to political thought. One of those is a student at Columbia University, and Matt Sanchez joins us on tonight's program. Matt, thanks for being here.
Hi, it's a pleasure to be here.
You think that there is a lack of diversity when it comes to political thought?
There's a lack of diversity, and there's also the inability to think critically. I can give you an example of that. We had a situation on Columbia's campus last year where we had students rush a speaker. There was a speaker speaking, and they didn't care much for his opinion, so they rushed the stage. Now, the speaker had to leave, and he had to be evacuated from the school.
Now, if just for our audience to know, was this the speaker that was one of the Minutemen?
Exactly.
This is going to be on immigration.
Gilchrist was the leader of the Minutemen. Now, whether you believe him or agree with him or not is beyond a completely, entirely different situation. But one of the reasons the students gave for rushing the stage was that they were expressing freedom of speech. Now, their inability to see that they had stopped this guy from speaking, and they had impeached his freedom of speech. It's a big leap in logic, and it's just that the reason being that these students can't think critically and understand that their freedom of speech ends where it impedes someone else from speaking freely.
This particular gentleman had not even addressed it all, right? Before they weren't protesting what he'd said. This was something he hadn't even gotten to say yet. But some will say, look, there's some speech that's just so hateful that many people call the Minutemen's view that it shouldn't be allowed.
Well, there we go again and the problem is that we have on campus these boxes that we put things into, and speech codes are one of them. So you either think one way or the other, and what's happening is that students aren't being exposed to a second point of view or even a third point of view. That is, I mean, it really gets to the point of almost indoctrination.
How would you address this kind of thing? How did Columbia University officials deal with this incident?
In this case, they really did get away scot-free, so they reinforced that behavior. They reinforced that if somebody says something that you don't agree with, well, you just shut them down. In fact, that's what they said, literally, that you can shut them down. Nobody was critical about these students rushing the stage. And I pause, and I want your audience to think about that if someone doesn't agree with you, well, they feel they can shut you down, but on top of that, they feel that they're just expressing their freedom of speech.
This is one incident that happened at Columbia University, and I'm sure there have been others and other universities around the country as well. But there are all those who say, look, there's been a real rise of conservative activism on college campus. A lot of college conservative newspapers are out there. There's a lot of these clubs that are all conservatives. So it seems like it's kind of 50-50, and a college campus is a place where there's a lot of raucous debate, if you will. What's wrong with that?
Sure. 50-50, I don't know where you're getting your statistics. I would say it's more like 2 to 98. I don't know what campus you're going to. I go to Columbia University. Maybe I have a skewed vision of it. Maybe I see much more liberalism.
Yeah, you're in New York City.
I'm in New York City, there's no doubt. But these kinds of things have been happening all over the place, whether it's Arizona. There was a situation in Texas, of all places, in Tennessee as well, Georgetown University. You have an issue where students simply aren't being exposed to a different point of view, and on top of that, they're not being challenged and they're not being encouraged to think out of the box. They're not being encouraged to think beyond, you know, this is racism, or this is it's one or the other. And the world is a lot more complex than that.
Let's get a caller with us on this, Matt. Sure. Let's go to Molly, who is calling in from New York. Hi, Molly.
Hello. Hi, Genevieve.
Hi, Molly.
My question is, I know people like David Horowitz are proposing legislation on this issue, the Academic Bill of Rights. Don't you think that that could just lead to more bureaucracy and actually less freedom of speech on campuses?
Legislation is not the answer. This is something that has to be a part of the culture of the campus. And the campus itself isn't, if it's not encouraging that kind of intellectual diversity, then you have a problem. I'll give you another example. People are saying on campus, a lot of war protesters are saying, just give peace a chance. What they don't understand, of course, is that the enemy has a vote in all this, and in this case, their ability or inability to think critically can be deadly.
Thanks very much, Molly, for the phone call. Matt, final question for you. How would you like to see this addressed? I mean, is this going to have to be college, university officials that do something? Is it parents that do this by voting about whether or not they send their children to these schools?
Just raising the level of awareness. Universities are in complete denial about this. They'll say, oh, this is a liberal education. We encourage free thought. Unfortunately, they only encourage free thought within certain parameters.
All right, Matt Sanchez of Columbia University. Thank you.